For more than 20 years, he's been one of the most famous athletes on the entire planet, a true titan of basketball who has lived under this intense spotlight since he was just a teenager. So today, we're going to break down the journey of LeBron James, the prodigy, the villain, the hero, and, of course, the legend. All right, let's get into it.
So this is the LeBron James we all know today, an absolute icon, a four-time champion, and a global brand. They call him King James, and for good reason. He's a player who has not only met, but somehow exceeded the monumental expectations placed on him. And his career, it's just defined by numbers that honestly seem like they shouldn't be possible. Just take this one, for example. Over 40,000 career points. He is the first, and still the only, player in the history of the NBA to hit that mark. And look, that's not just a testament to his scoring. It speaks to a level of longevity and sustained greatness that the sport has, well, it's just never seen anything like it before. And that's not just fans talking, That's pretty much the consensus at this point. But the real question is, how did he get here? I mean, how does a kid from Akron, Ohio become the face of a global sport and a real contender for the title of greatest of all time? Well, to understand that, we've got to go all the way back to the beginning. Because before he was King James, he was this unbelievable prodigy from Akron, carrying the weight of a crown he hadn't even earned yet. The pressure was just immense. The hype was completely off the charts, and it all started when he was still in high school. This right here is where it all began. On the left, that's a teenage LeBron James at St. Vincent St. Mary, already a national phenomenon. The hype was so crazy that he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated as a junior, where they called him the Chosen One. His high school games were being broadcast on national TV. The expectation wasn't just that he'd be a good pro, it was that he was going to be an all-time great. And you know what? He delivered immediately. As the #1 overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft coming straight out of high school, he wins Rookie of the Year. He wasn't just, getting used to the league. He was very quickly becoming one of its best players. This all-around force of nature with his scoring, passing, and sheer athleticism. So the whole story of his early career was this noble quest. Could he be the savior for his hometown team, the Cleveland Cavaliers? He actually led them to their first ever NBA Finals back in 2007, which was a huge achievement, but they got swept by the San Antonio Spurs. The prophecy, it seemed, was unfulfilled. And that set the stage for a decision that would change absolutely everything. All right, let's get to the next chapter. This was a move so controversial, it basically transformed him from this cherished hometown hero into a national villain overnight. This was his time down in South Beach, where the pressure to win was at an all-time unbelievable high. Those 7 words, broadcast live on a TV special called The Decision in 2010, it was a seismic event. Back then, star players just didn't announce their free agency moves like this. It was this bold, maybe even arrogant declaration of player power. And it wasn't just what he said, but how he said it. That just completely changed the game.
The fallout was immediate, and it was brutal. Fans in Cleveland were literally burning his jerseys in the streets. He got criticized by everyone, from analysts to NBA legends, for abandoning his hometown. But this was about more than just leaving a team. It was about a player taking control of his own story in a way the league had never really seen before. In a single night, the hero became the villain. And you can really see the shift right here, can't you? From the beloved hometown kid on the left to the ring-chasing bad guy in Miami on the right. His new challenge was massive. Not just to win a championship, but to do it while embracing the role of the league's most hated player. But here's the thing. As you can see, the triumphs ultimately outweighed all the challenges. Despite all that negativity, his time in Miami was a massive success. He won his first 2 NBA championships, 2 Finals MVPs, and 2 league MVPs. He'd finally reached the mountaintop, and in his mind, he had validated that controversial decision to leave. But the story wasn't over. Not even close. After conquering the league in Miami, a whole new narrative started to unfold. A redemption arc that would bring him back home, to Cleveland, to finish what he started all those years ago. This time, there was no TV special, just a really thoughtful essay announcing his return. The contrast to The Decision couldn't have been more stark, and people really respected it. But with that return came the ultimate challenge, ending Cleveland's 52-year professional sports championship drought. The pressure was right back on. And by the 2016 NBA Finals, that promise, it seemed completely lost. The Cavaliers were down 3-1 against the Golden State Warriors, a team that had just set the all-time record with 73 wins in the regular season. No team in NBA history had ever come back from a 3-1 deficit in the finals. It looked absolutely impossible. But facing those impossible odds, LeBron, along with his co-star Kyrie Irving, just put on a show. In Game 5, they became the first teammates ever to each score 40 points in a finals game. Together, they dragged their team back from the brink of elimination and forced a deciding Game 7. They refused to lose. And then, in Game 7, he delivered the defining moment of his entire career. That iconic chase-down block on Andre Iguodala in the final minutes. It preserved the tie and paved the way for the win. Get this, he led both teams in points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks for the whole series, a feat that's never been done before or since. The promise was kept, the drought was over. So let's move to the final chapter of his story so far, his move to the Los Angeles Lakers. Here, the challenge shifted. It wasn't really about proving doubters wrong anymore. It was now about defying Father Time himself. And in 2020, he did it again, leading the Lakers to a championship. This made him the only player in the history of the league to win the Finals MVP award with 3 different franchises. I mean, that's just a definitive statement about his incredible adaptability and sustained excellence deep into his career. This timeline really puts his durability into perspective. How does he do it? Well, he famously invests over $1 million a year on his body, and he's constantly evolving his game to outsmart Father Time. Think about it. From being drafted in 2003 to becoming the all-time leading scorer 2 decades later, and then making history by playing in the league with his own son. His career hasn't been a sprint. It's been a marathon run at an elite, world-class pace for over 20 years. So after all of that, after all the different chapters of his incredible journey, the championships, the MVPs, the records, the controversies, and the triumphs, we're left with one big question. Has he done enough to be considered the single greatest basketball player of all time? Now, that's a debate that is going to rage on forever. But what is absolutely undeniable is the power and the permanence of his legacy.